Hey guys, Sarah Jane here. In this video, I'm going to talk about injuries and first aid on the Appalachian Trail. This is the topic that stresses me out the most, unpreventable injuries. I'm going to discuss a few of those and offer some preventive ideas and thoughts to have while you're out there on the trail. A big one, falls and accidents. It's inevitable, you're going to fall. Broken bones, sprains, fractures, cuts and bruises, the need for stitches. You can only be so cautious while you're out there hiking. I'll be thinking of every step as an invested step because it really is. I've spent a year and a half planning and a lot of money on gear and saving for this trip. So every step to me is an invested step. And I'm going to keep that mindset while I'm out there. Some of the things that I'll be thinking about to prevent falls and injuries while I'm out there hiking the Appalachian Trail are I won't be hiking super tired or super hungry. Of course, I know you're going to be tired and hungry while you're out there probably all the time. So I'm just going to be more aware of really how tired and exhausted I am. And of course, I'll be using extra caution in the winter months in the beginning of my hike. I got some micro spikes to help prevent any possibility of slipping on packed ice or snow. They weren't that expensive and I found a pretty good deal on a pretty solid pair. So maybe consider that if you're starting in the early winter months. And I'll be using extra caution around ledges and where the trail gets narrow and pretty much drops off to the bitty bottom. I don't want to fall off the mountain. Like I said earlier, you're gonna fall. Least you can do is maybe tuck and roll. If you get injured, fully recover before you go back out there. Be sure to use the RICE method: rest, ice, compression, and elevation. I also wanted to talk about a few common foot injuries that I've been reading and learning about. Of course, we all know about the blisters, plantar fasciitis, loss of toenails, and trench foot. So most foot problems, I'm learning, stem from improper shoe fit. And I'm a perfect example of that. I've been buying and wearing size 8.5 shoe for pretty much my entire adult life. I went to Outdoor 76 in Franklin, North Carolina because I heard so many good things about Rob. He spent a couple hours with me sizing my feet. I'm a size 10 and I'm cramming my feet into an 8.5. Be aware of your actual shoe size. The whole stick your thumb edge of your toe, that works in most cases, but that's what I was doing too. But apparently from here to here is an 8.5, but from here down is a 10, and that's where the important parts of your feet are. Your arch, the ball, and the heel. So I'm a size 10 from now on. Thanks, Rob at Outdoor 76. I highly suggest getting in there and getting fitted and getting a good shoe for your feet. And of course, there's a laundry list of many other injuries, rubs and rashes, insect bites, snake bites, sunburn, frostbite, swelling of the joints, knees, ankles, everything. Poison ivy, poison oak. I can go on and on. Just be aware of what can happen out there and be semi-prepared and know what to look for. There's also sicknesses that you need to look out for. One of the big ones out there, you guessed it, Lyme disease, caused by tick bites. Some of the early symptoms of Lyme disease are fatigue, headache, and fever. If you get bit by a tick, remove the tick. Once you do remove the tick, use a marker to circle the spot. Just keep an eye for a bullseye type rash. That is an early sign of Lyme disease. Be sure to get treated right away. I'll be using a tick key. In my research, the tick key seems to remove the tick without squeezing it with tweezers, which could push some of their poison into your bloodstream, something like that. Another big one out there is Giardia. Giardia is a microscopic parasite which causes diarrhea, cramps, nausea, and dehydration. They say symptoms can last anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. You'd contract giardia from not filtering your water and if you keep dirty hands. Now, of course, you're gonna have dirty hands while you're out there, but it's highly suggested to at least use hand sanitizer after every bathroom break and, of course, every time before you eat. Do yourself a favor. Do everything you can to prevent giardia by filtering your water and keeping those hands clean. Another one out there is neurovirus. So neurovirus travels from person to person through fecal contaminated surfaces and water. That's right, folks, poop on your hands. So filter your water, keep your hands clean. Maybe don't shake people's hands. Maybe they're not keeping their hands clean. Yeah. Dehydration's another big one out there. Signs of dehydration, dry mouth, of course, swollen tongue, weakness, dark urine, and dizziness. Now, when you're out there sweating like crazy, you're gonna be losing a lot of salt and electrolytes, so be sure to keep a balanced salt and electrolyte intake when you are rehydrating yourself. Once you recognize the signs, start drinking water right away. And don't forget to include that salt and electrolyte balance. Another one I'll be watching for signs on is hypothermia. Now, hypothermia is basically the body loses heat faster than it can produce it. Hypothermia can occur when you're exposed to wind, rain, cold air, and water. It's a deadly combination. Your body can drop to low temperatures even when it's 50 degrees outside, and even higher when it's wet and windy. Some of the early signs of hypothermia is shivering, of course. However, shivering can stop as hypothermia progresses, so just be aware of that. It's actually good that your body shivers because it's letting you know that your heat regulation system is still active. So shivers aren't always bad. Keep a lookout for slow and shallow breathing and confusion and memory loss. If you notice any of these symptoms in yourself or a fellow hiker, help them out. Maybe remove wet clothing, wrap up in a dry blanket or an emergency blanket, and drink a warm beverage. Somewhere in my research, it did say not to warm up too fast. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it could be a shock or something. Just gradually warm yourself up. Do everything you can to prevent hypothermia. That's Bentley. Use a layering system. Be sure to research some winter layering systems before you hit the trail. Make sure that bag you're sleeping in is warm enough. Also use a thermal sleeping pad of sorts to help keep that cold temperature from the ground off your body while you're sleeping. Okay, on the opposite end of the spectrum, instead of hypothermia, there are a couple of heat-related ones. You can have heat exhaustion and heat strokes. So let's talk about heat exhaustion first. The signs are excessive sweating, cold and clammy skin, muscle cramps, a rapid, weak pulse, nausea and vomiting. If you notice any of these symptoms in yourself or a fellow hiker, cool them down. Get them in the shade, take their pack off of them, give them some water, and just cool down. Take a second. Now, the next related one, heat stroke, is very bad. Requires a call to 911. Be sure to know the signs and be ready to take action when you do see these signs. Some heat stroke symptoms are a fever of 103 or higher, feeling hot. The big difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke is that with a heat stroke, there's no sweating. Headache, rapid pulse, nausea and vomiting, or unconsciousness. Be sure to seek immediate medical attention if you or a fellow hiker are experiencing any of these symptoms. Take this one very seriously. Make training adjustments gradually. Basically, at the beginning of my hike, I'm not going to go more than 8 miles a day for about a month. Keep those low miles, get your body conditioned to be able to push those big miles later on. If you push big miles early, you're going to hurt yourself. Be sure to check your equipment is a tip. Your equipment being your shoes. Stress fractures can be triggered by worn out or non-supportive shoes. Check your form. Is your hiking form straight? Are you flopping your joints when you're walking down a hill? Are you controlling those steps? Think about hiker posture. Get enough calcium and vitamin D. Make those bones strong. Got milk? Things like petroleum jelly and Body Glide will help with chafing and blisters. Keep in mind, blisters can turn into second-degree burns if not treated properly. Don't forget those electrolyte powders to help keep you hydrated. When treating an ankle sprain, consider a compression brace instead of just taping it. Also, soaking a swollen or sprained ankle in a cold creek can be very nice. Sometimes that can be frowned upon in the community, so just be aware of that and have a backup plan. Now you're gonna feel all sorts of pains and aches out there, so listen to your body. Don't push through something severe. Know when to push through a dull ache and know when to stop from severe pain. There's plenty of time to push yourself. Don't push yourself so far that you can't return to the trail. Stretch a lot. Always stretch. Morning, afternoon, every time you get the opportunity, in the evening, all the time. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Keep those muscles limber and they will perform for you. Basically, not stretching before, during, and after a hike is like throwing a frozen hamburger patty on a hot grill. Well, this concludes the Start Series Injuries and First Aid on the Appalachian Trail. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, I'd love to see them in the comment section below. I'm always eager to see what other people are doing to prevent injury out there. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you've not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Cut! This is good.